It was a cold, crisp December afternoon when Liam and Hannah left the city behind, heading toward Hannah's parents' farmhouse for the holidays. The idea of a quiet Christmas in the countryside felt like the perfect escape from their usual routines. The road ahead seemed peaceful, blanketed in fresh snow, and the smell of pine and wood smoke lingered in the air as they drove deeper into the rural landscape. "Are we still on track?" Hannah asked, glancing at her phone. The GPS signal kept cutting out, flickering on and off. Liam gave her a reassuring nod. "Yeah, we're fine. The signal's been spotty for a bit, but we should reach the next town in about half an hour." They had been on the road for hours, having left work late in the day, and darkness was already falling as the sun dipped behind the forested hills. The winding roads had been deserted for miles, only the occasional rundown barn or abandoned farmhouse breaking up the trees. Still, they laughed and chatted, swapping Christmas stories, singing along to the radio, and discussing plans for the weekend. That's when everything went wrong. Without warning, the car jerked to one side, throwing them off balance. Liam cursed, struggling to keep control as the dashboard lights flared, warning them of sudden tire failure. The vehicle limped to a stop on the shoulder of the narrow road. "You've got to be kidding," Liam muttered, climbing out of the car with Hannah close behind. The frigid air bit at their faces as Hannah shone her phone's flashlight on the tires. "4 flats? What are the chances of that?" All 4 tires had deflated, with no visible cause. No nails, no glass, nothing that should have caused such damage. They exchanged confused glances, a sense of unease slowly creeping in. "Maybe we hit something and didn't realize it," Hannah suggested, though even she didn't sound convinced. "All 4 at once?" Liam shook his head in disbelief. "That's weird, really weird." Hannah glanced around, shivering. The woods were growing darker by the second, and the eerie silence of the area made her stomach knot. She pulled out her phone again, but the signal had completely disappeared. Liam rummaged through the trunk, pulling out the spare tire, a single one that wouldn't fix all their problems. Frustration gnawed at him as they both realized the severity of their situation. They were stranded, miles from any town, with no cell service and no way to move the car. Just as the weight of their predicament began to settle in, Liam spotted a faint light glowing through the trees farther down the road. "Look, there's a house or something up there. Maybe they can help." Hannah hesitated, her eyes darting toward the source of the light. The dense woods and gathering darkness made the idea of trekking through them even more unsettling, but they had no choice. There was no help coming from anywhere else. They walked toward the light, their footsteps crunching in the snow as they approached what appeared to be an old farmhouse. Set back from the road, the house was a relic of the past, with sagging wooden shutters and a roofline that had seen better days. Despite its worn appearance, a soft light glowed from the porch, and it felt like the only hope they had. "This has to be the place," Liam said, eyeing the faint tire shop sign attached to a nearby garage behind the house. "Looks like there's a repair shop here too. Maybe they can fix the tires." Hannah nodded, though the feeling in the pit of her stomach refused to ease. Still, it seemed like their best bet. Liam knocked on the door, and after a moment, an elderly man answered. He was tall and gaunt, his face weathered with age, but his smile was welcoming. "Evening," the old man greeted, his voice a gravelly rasp. "Car trouble, I'm guessing?" "Yeah," Liam replied, explaining about the 4 flats. "Any chance you can help us out?" The old man nodded slowly. "Got a shop out back. I can take a look in the morning, but it's late now. You don't want to be out on these roads after dark. Not safe." "Why's that?" Hannah asked, trying to keep her voice calm. The man's face darkened. "These roads have a history. Lots of accidents. If you like, there's a rental property up the road a bit. No one's there right now. You and your husband could stay there for the night, and I'll get the tires fixed by morning." Something about his tone made Liam pause, but with no better options, he thanked the old man, who gave them directions to the rental property. The 2 of them retrieved some essentials from their car and headed up the road. "I don't like this," Hannah murmured as they walked, the old man's words replaying in her mind. "Neither do I," Liam admitted. "But we don't have much choice." The rental property stood at the end of a narrow, snow-covered lane. It was a large 2-story house, much like the old farmhouse they had just left, aged, worn, but standing tall against the elements. Its windows were dark, the house cold and lifeless, surrounded by barren trees. Liam unlocked the door using the key the old man had given them, and they stepped inside. The air was musty, and the house had the feeling of a place that had been vacant for a long time. A few pieces of old furniture littered the rooms, but the space was bare of personal touches, as if it had been abandoned. "I don't like this at all," Hannah repeated, her unease growing. Liam nodded. "Let's just sleep. We'll be out of here in the morning." They tried to settle in, but the atmosphere in the house was oppressive. Every creak, every gust of wind against the window seemed to be magnified. Hannah wrapped herself in a blanket on the couch while Liam paced restlessly. Just as he was about to sit down, Hannah stiffened. "Liam," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Look outside." Liam turned toward the front window and froze. There, on the porch swing, sat a woman. She was young, maybe in her 20s, with long dark hair spilling over her shoulders. Her skin was deathly pale, and she wore a torn dress that fluttered slightly in the wind. She sat perfectly still, staring straight ahead, as if waiting for something. "Who is that?" Liam whispered, his heart pounding in his chest. "I don't know," Hannah breathed, "but she wasn't there when we got here." Liam moved closer to the window, cautiously peeking out. The woman didn't move, didn't react to their presence. She simply sat on the swing, swaying ever so slightly. "I don't like this," Hannah repeated, her voice a shaky whisper. Liam backed away from the window, trying to make sense of the situation. "We'll just stay inside and wait for morning." They spent the next few hours in a tense silence, the woman never moving from her spot on the porch swing. Hannah tried to sleep, but each time she closed her eyes, the image of the woman was burned into her mind. Liam kept watch, unable to shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. When dawn finally broke, the woman was gone. Exhausted and rattled, they left the house to check on the car, hoping for some sign of help. But their situation had only worsened. The tires were still flat, and there was no sign of the old man. His house was dark, the garage locked, and the shop deserted. "This is insane," Liam muttered, running a hand through his hair. "Where did he go?" Hannah glanced nervously down the road. "We need to get out of here, Liam. Something's not right." They returned to the rental house, unsure of what to do next. The isolation pressed in on them, the realization that they were alone in an unfamiliar place with no way to leave growing heavier with each passing moment. As night began to fall once more, the oppressive atmosphere inside the house became unbearable. The sensation of being watched was stronger than ever, and they could feel eyes on them, though they saw no one. And then, as darkness fully descended, the woman reappeared. This time, she wasn't sitting on the swing. She was standing at the edge of the porch, staring directly into the house. Hannah gasped, backing away from the window. "She's watching us." Liam's skin crawled. He grabbed a flashlight and stormed to the door, intending to confront her. "We can't keep hiding," he muttered. But when he stepped onto the porch, she was gone. The swing swayed gently, as though someone had just been there, but the yard was empty. "This doesn't make sense," Liam muttered, scanning the area with his flashlight. "She was just here." Hannah was trembling as she watched from the doorway. "It's not real. She's not real." Liam found a small, tarnished object on the ground beneath the swing, a locket. He opened it, revealing a faded photo of the same woman who had been haunting them. "She was real," he murmured, his voice hollow. But Hannah shook her head. "No, Liam, she is real, and she's still here." That night, the woman appeared again, but this time, something had changed. She was no longer content to sit or stand on the porch. She was closer now, her face pressed against the window, her hollow eyes fixed on them. Her pale skin glowed in the dim light, and her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. "She's not going to let us leave," Hannah whispered, backing away. "She brought us here." Liam's heart raced as he tried to piece everything together. The tires, the old man, the house, it's all connected. They lure people here. "Why?" Hannah asked, though she already knew the answer. Liam swallowed hard. "To feed. She feeds on us." As the lights flickered and the temperature in the house dropped to an unbearable chill, the reality of their situation settled in. They had been lured here, just like others before them, and now they were trapped. The woman wasn't haunting the house. She was the house. And she was hungry. The last thing they heard before the lights went out was the creak of the porch swing and the sound of the woman's slow, deliberate footsteps approaching the door.